As we've seen, the author of Samuel wrote about Saul's failed kingship so that his original audience would abandon all hope for the house of Saul and place their hopes for God's kingdom in the righteous rule of David's house. And for this reason, we too must put our hopes exclusively in David's only perfectly righteous royal descendant, Jesus. Jesus alone fulfills the hopes for God's kingdom that our author pointed to in his narrative of Saul's failed kingship. But as we mentioned earlier, Jesus brings the kingdom in 3 stages. He begins with the inauguration of his kingdom in his first advent. We live today in the continuation of his kingdom as it endures throughout church history, and we will see the consummation of his kingdom at the end of the age when he returns in glory. In the first place, the original audience of Samuel learned from Saul's failures that hope could be found only in David's house. In a similar way, we look back at the inauguration of Christ's kingdom, where Jesus proved beyond doubt, through his miracles, his death, his resurrection, and his ascension, that he is the only king who will bring God's glorious kingdom to earth. In the second place, in the days of the original audience of Samuel, God sustained David's dynasty despite its failures. And we have the privilege of knowing that for more than 2,000 years, during the continuation of God's kingdom, God's promises have not failed. Christ, the righteous Son of David, has proven again and again that God ordained him to extend the kingdom to the ends of the earth. Although many still follow other paths, Christ continues to defeat God's enemies and pour out God's blessings throughout the world by the power of his Spirit and the preaching of the gospel. And in the third place, the author of Samuel called his original audience to keep their eyes on the future and the full restoration of David's throne. Similarly, our author's record of Saul's failed kingship calls on us to look forward to the consummation of our age when Christ returns. The New Testament assures us that at that time, it will be evident to every creature that Christ is, in fact, the only one chosen to rule over creation. As Paul put it in Philippians chapter 2, verses 10 and 11, "On that day, at the name of Jesus, every knee should bow, in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father."